What's going on here? Well, I'm winding wool. Sometimes Stanley helps me do this. He does the holding hands thing and the wool is on his hands. Sometimes I lay it on my lap like this. And if I'm careful, I can end up winding it without too much tangle. It's what we do. Good day, good day, good day. I'm Sue Johnson. You probably already know that, but in case you're new and you're just stopping by, here's my little portion on my videos for my knitting friends. I'm going to share what I've been working on. I'm going to talk about this picnic cotton that I ordered and trying it out. And, well, I'll just share some stuff on that. And I'm going to share a little bit of tutorial on the new, what do we call it? Well, the pattern's called a basket weave. I'm learning a new technique, a new skill, a new stitch. That's it, a new stitch. So stay tuned and you can let me know what you think later. If you watched my previous video on what knitting should I take to Disney with me, you'll remember that I had suggested 3 different projects that I was going to start. And meanwhile, I was working on this shawl. I said I was not going to take it with me, but guess what? I did. And I was able to work on it maybe a couple of rows each morning before we headed off to one of the parks. And I finished it. I had it finished the day that we got home. It's being blocked. Sometimes when I'm working on a project, I will block it at a certain point just to get a good idea how much the wool is going to stretch. And this is just about the right size, I think. What I also do is I will stop my knitting and I will crochet an edging onto it, and that's this very small portion after the eyelets here. So, and then I crocheted all around just to finish off the edge really nice. I like that effect. So I often combine knitting with crochet. So comparing the sizes, let me just show you. I took my favorite shawl, which is right now underneath the one I'm currently working on, and I laid my current shawl on top, and the size is just about the same. Let me know if you think I should add some more edging or perhaps a lace edging, or I should just leave it as it is. I'm curious to know your opinion. For those of you who have been following my knitting, you may remember that I've been focusing on shawls because I wanted to develop my technique in terms of using some eyelet patterns or techniques. That was a new skill that I learned. But the thing is about shawls is you don't have to wear them as a shawl. You can also wear them as a scarf. So there's a lot of uses, and that's what I'm going to illustrate here, just a little bit. Different ways to wear it. Here comes the scarf effect. During the winter, when we went to Disney, we went there for Christmas, I took my large scarf, which I'm illustrating here, and I wore it every single day for extra warmth. Florida had record low temperatures at Christmas time, and this scarf really helped to keep me warm. I just bunched it up around my neck, and it was great. I wore it over my shoulders like this. I usually fold the neck edge over so there's like a little collar effect, sort of. Now I'm going to show you how I belt it in, because sometimes I'm wearing a shawl around the house. I live in Ontario. It gets cold here, especially in the winter. And if you're moving around the house with a shawl, the ends tend to move around and get in your way. So what I've done is I have belted the shawl so that it doesn't move around. Sometimes I call it the armless sweater because, well, during menopause, I need a little bit of warmth now and again, but also if I have a heat up, I like to be able to flip the scarf off. There's different ways to do this, and you can experiment with your own belts or whatever you use to cinch in your waistline a little bit with your shawl. Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned or hippie-like. I did grow up in the hippie ages, the 60s, so it had its influence on me. The neckline can be pulled open or it can be pulled closed, depending on your comfort level. Personally, I've found menopause has been great with shawls. Or is it the other way around? Here's another one of my favorite shawls. Actually, I think they're all favorites. I have different colors, different sizes in terms of how much they cover your arms. This one does have a lace edging. What I'm illustrating here is how you can take the two front corners and tuck them in your belt line. Sometimes I have loops on my shorts or my jeans, and I take the end and I just put it through a loop on each side. And yet another use. This shawl is slightly different in that it has one longer edge. It is an actual pattern that I followed, and if I remember, I'll try to find the link to the pattern and put it in the description. But what I like about this is you can also tie these things around your waist. So imagine you're out somewhere, a Disney park maybe, for the day, and you are going to be there in the evening, and you know you're going to want your shawl. So instead of wearing it all day, well, you can wear it this way instead of carrying it over your arm or stuffing it in a bag. There's a lot of uses for these things. Now, if you happen to sit down on a park bench and there's some ice cream on there and you get that on your bottom, I call this the oops wearing shawl. You can just cover it up. And finally, just regular use. Use your imagination and make it serve you well. Before I went to Disney, I ordered some wool from a company called Purl Soho. I became aware of them through watching somebody else's video and did a little bit of research. They were a wool shop or a yarn shop in New York City, and they have since closed the store, but they have a great online business. That's their big market now. I think it's the big market for everybody, just about. So where I am, there's a very limited supply in cotton yarns. I used to drive down to Cheektowaga, which is near the Buffalo Airport, and visit the Hobby Lobby there and pick up some cotton yarns. But I can't do that every time because if I want to make some purchases, I have to stay overnight. So that's probably $2.25, $224, whatever, to stay overnight. It becomes a bit expensive just to get some $2 cotton yarn. So I decided I was going to try Purl Soho's cotton, and in this case I ordered the picnic cotton, and it looks like this. It comes in skeins like this. This is a 500 sorry, not 500, a 50 grams skein. Yeah, 50 grams, 164 yards, and it's 100% cotton, and it's called Peruvian Pima cotton. And I looked that up, and apparently they grow cotton in Peru, and it's a very soft cotton, very workable. So I ordered this before going to Disney, and then I realized that it was going to arrive while I'm in Disney, and it actually took about a week and a half. It was pretty good. I paid $10 US. It was on sale. So, and I got, what did I get? I got 5 different colors, and I decided I was going to try it out. There's my colors. So it was a nice surprise when I came home, because Who doesn't like to open up a new package of yarn or get some new yarn? So there it was waiting for me. And the total cost for me when the Canadian dollar got converted was about $80. That included the shipping. So I think it's worth it, especially so I was trying it out and using a basket weave pattern, which is new for me. That's been one of my goals, to learn new stitches and lace techniques and so forth. So that's been fun. It is very soft. It's very sort of stretchy and pliable, at least in this particular stitch pattern. And what I'm thinking is I will probably order a number of skeins and make a cotton top next summer instead of this. This is a merino wool, and it's great for fall and early spring, but I had it on this summer when we had a warm day and it was too much. So this will be very breathable. So now I'm going to share with you how I learned or illustrate the basket weave knitting, which is actually very simple, but I don't know, if you're senior, you might have to write things down. Like I had a little piece of paper here, and I had to keep track of what I was doing, how many rows and so forth, because I kept getting confused. What am I doing, purl, or I'm doing knit here? But it's very basic. It's knit and purl, and you just have to pay attention and know how to recognize your knits and your purls. The purls have the little knobs. That's a purl right there. And alternate. And then you do a straight garter stitch row to separate each section of blocks. So if you're interested, you can stay tuned. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye. I started by casting on 48 stitches. And I'm using a number 6 US or 4mm needle. And I just did, I knit the first row just to create a foundation row. And then what you do is you start off by knitting 5, then purling 3, and you continue that across the row. When you reach the end of your row, you turn your work and you do the opposite. So if you finished with a purl, you turn your work, you're going to start with a knit. So what I'm doing here is I'm purling, and I believe it's the purling of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 purls. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you switch and do 3 knits. So you just alternate the 5 and 3, 5 and 3. And you alternate it so that basically you're knitting the knits and you're purling the purls. So you have to pay attention to your work. And if you're like me, you're going to be counting in your head. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my 3 knits. Now I'm going to purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I complete about 5 rows back and forth like that. I even considered using a chart, and there are charts available if you want to use that for the basket weave. I found one on Pinterest. I think it's called Studio Knit, and they were great. They have a lot of good information there. So I'm coming to the end of the work here. And in this case, I'm ending with 5 purls. Then I'm going to turn the work. And because I ended with 5 purls, I turned the work. I'm now going to do 5 knits. I also keep record of how many rows I've been knitting. When you finish your 5 rows, you want to do a straight garter stitch all the way across. That sort of helps each section be a little bit more distinguished. It sets it off nicely. And then when you finish that garter row, you turn your work and you start the whole pattern over again. But again, watch your knits and purls so that you're doing the opposite from the previous row, and that way you get the up and down effect of the basket weave. I haven't finished this face cloth yet, but I imagine that I'll probably do about 10 rows or 10 repeat patterns till I get the size that I want. It's great, it's soft, it's stretchy. I think it's going to work out well. And finally, I found a new use for my tripod. I can use it to hang my wool while I wind it up. Happy knitting, everyone. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, let me know who you are.